into the door. So first I loosened up this to get at this screw that holds the handle here. And then you start by popping this panel here, this up with a screwdriver, and then disconnect this. There's a panel here. Just you take that out, pull it up. There's a screw there, and then you get this panel here. And then we got 2 7mm. You have to take off here. I believe this is an 8, and then this one here behind here is a 10. Okay, the screws are now removed. The door is just hanging there now by some retainer clips and the lip here. And you can see over here I have the 2 panels. This is a 10mm, 8mm, and then the 2 7mm at the bottom. And then you're going to want some retainer clips, because you're probably going to break off some, or they might be broken off already. You may need to replace them. So these are what they look like. I have a chair with me here, so when I lift off the door panel, it's going to be connected to the handles. To this handle here is going to be a cable, and I don't want all the pressure on that cable, so like you might want to have something to set it on. So the retainer clips are now free. I'm now holding on to this. It's just held by the lip, and so I'm going to need to pull this off of the lip and then disconnect the interior handle cable. Now I just pulled this off of this lip right here. I have it in my hand. Sorry that I don't have anyone to hold the camera, but this is the cable that would be connecting to here. You need to disconnect this. If this isn't connected, it'll be maybe inside the door, which you'll see later or whatever when I go in there. But this mechanism here, you have to, the brown part has to be compressed so that it comes out of there, and then this has to be removed also. Pull it off of here first, so get this off first. The key to getting this off is to hold the pliers perpendicular to the clip. That seemed to help me a lot. As long as I went perpendicular, I was able to get enough pressure to disengage this from the door. Now I was kind of lucky, and all my retainer clips look like they're all not broken, and they're all there. There's actually 7 of them, and you're going to want to kind of memorize that. There's 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then 1 down here. Because when you put it back on, you're going to want to slowly work your way down and make sure you don't break them. I will start by removing the weather shield here. Take the weather shield off. Try to be careful and keep as much of this glue as you can, because you're going to need it to go back, put it back on later. Next, you're going to want to get a 10mm on this bolt here. This is just a support for the window. Maybe not the window, but the door. It's attached here, and then it just snaps into a place up here. And so I'll be taking that out next to get at the locking actuator. And here's the door reinforcement. And next you're just going to want to push this through the door. Back in there just like that, and it'll just go down. So just slowly take it down. I'm going to get at the power connector there. It has a tab on it. You push the tab in and then wiggle it different directions just slowly to pull it off of the locking actuator. And there I have the power off. I didn't disconnect the battery, but you probably should disconnect the battery if you're worried about this part, but I actually didn't, but I'm not a professional at all. I'm now going to go after this handle screw, and here's what I'm using. I'm using a drill with an extension, and then it's a T25. Doesn't need to be a security, it just could be a regular star bolt. That's what they have, at least for me. I don't know what yours is. But then I also am going to be making a netting and placing it here so that if I do drop the screw, it gets caught in the net here before it goes into the bottom of the door. It is actually possible to get the screws out from underneath there, or from down there in the door, but it's really hard to do, and you need a special tool. You need a magnetic pickup that fits in there perfectly. All right, there's the net that I built, and if I drop the screw, hopefully that will catch it so I'm not screwed. When I was doing it, the screw actually fell out and landed in my net. So I definitely suggest making a net unless you're super good at making sure the screw doesn't get knocked off when you're unscrewing it there. Then you just have to remove this right here. This one can be a tricky one to get. Watch out so you don't strip the screw. It's holding the handle reinforcement in there. And then you also have to watch out, there's these here, you don't want to break those off. Next we have to get these 3 bolts here that hold the latch onto the door, the interior latch. I wasn't able to get it with a screwdriver here, so I'm going to be switching to a socket with an adapter and then this star bolt, which I'm sorry, I think it's like a 30, but I'm not even sure. So on this one I was lucky, this one wasn't stripped and I was able to get it with the torque socket wrench, and then now finish it off with this. I'm keeping these in there because those hold up. I loosened them up with the torque wrench, but then it's the same size. I'm keeping these in here to hold up the locking actuator. So I'm reaching up in there, grabbing a firm grasp on it and pulling it away from those clips in the front so they don't snap off, and just pulling out the whole actuator with the door reinforcement and everything together. The whole handle mechanism, if you can keep the spring, the torsion spring in there, it's really important, because if I disengaged that spring and then getting it back in there was kind of a pain. It's possible, but definitely annoying. So here's the push rod lever. Make sure you check and double check and make sure you order the right ones. I actually ordered the ones for the Ford Explorer and they were too long. Make sure you're going to want to make sure you get the right size for sure for your vehicle. And actually, let me go find the push rod. I have that too. Yeah, so here's the actual rod that'll be sticking out of your door. You attach it onto here, and then when you push this, it activates in the locking actuator. I'm going to wait to put that on the end. That doesn't have to go on right away, but this does need to go into here. And then we just got to put it back. So getting this in here, I'll need both hands. Now we have that installed. I'm just going to show you what happens when you actually push there we go. Push the button that locks it and unlocks it. There we go. Now we just got to get this whole thing back in there and secured. There we go. I made sure this was in the right place. And then I start putting these screws in. And then it still has wiggle room. And then, of course, don't break these off. Get those in. And then you can put in the door reinforcement screw here. The hook on the door handle here needs to engage with this hook right here, if you can see that. Yeah, this hook right here, and this could be tricky. There you can see the claw. I reached my hand in there and then operated the mechanism manually and then slid the claw into it. Now you can feel the torsion spring returning it, and you can also even see here the lever it pulls to unlock the door. Here we go. We did all that work just to get this thing to work here. Now we just have to, I put the reinforcement back in and made sure all the screws were tightened. Make sure this is working. Make sure you get that working before you put it all back together, because if your door handle doesn't work, you'll have to go back. Anyway, good luck. I hope this helps somebody.